My God, JD. I'm thrilled that he's the pick. How about you?
Yeah. I couldn't be happier. And thanks, Megyn, for having me. I was pushing for this for quite some time. I was a early endorser of JD's Senate primary when he was at 1 or 2% in the polls in Ohio, and nobody thought he had a chance. And he was up against the establishment and tens of millions of dollars. And that's a story worth telling as well. I was getting very emotional watching that video because JD's a dear friend. And I hope your audience understands, the more you get to know JD Vance, the more you're going to like him. His family is extraordinary. He is a good, smart man. And I put it in that order. He is a decent person of high integrity, wonderful family. He's in it for the right reasons. There are some really important similarities that JD Vance has with President Trump, such as being a class traitor. It's important to remember, Megyn, that when that book came out, he was so celebrated by the left-wing elite. He was the keynote speaker at the Aspen Ideas Festival. He was on every major left-wing network, being celebrated as the guy who can explain why Donald Trump has such a big following. And JD Vance, over a series of years, made a decision to forsake that type of popularity and to go in not just a career in politics, but to get into a pattern of advocacy that led him into politics. And it is an extraordinary rise. And you said it so perfectly, Megyn, only in America. And only in America is it possible where a young man, and he's older than me, but he's relatively young in the modern political dynamic, can come from absolute poverty, be abused, raised by his grandmother, had all the odds stacked against him to become the nominee for vice president of the United States, for the frontrunner and former president. How did we get here? Well, I mean, we got here first and foremost through divine providence, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that over the last week. Just the fact that this convention is still going on in its current form or fashion. But secondly, it's a testament to JD. JD did not want this, Megyn. I hope everyone understands in the audience. Almost everyone who was going for vice president had like war rooms, and they had, lobbying campaigns, and they were going after this to try to buddy up to Trump for the last 9 months or 10 months. When his name was first floated to become Trump's vice president potentially in February and March, he's like, me? Like, what? He's like, yeah, I love Trump, but like, what? And this is a guy who didn't ask for it. He didn't plan for it. He's not full of that kind of naked political ambition that I find to be so disgusting and repulsive. Things just kind of come to him, and people see in him the best of the Trump movement. Forgotten America, someone who lived that story and who will fight for those voters in Washington, D.C.
I said this before to our audience here, and I said this isn't said in a romantic way, but my time with him, and we were there for a few days, led me to believe that this is a beautiful man. He's a beautiful man, and I think that opening shows you what I mean. He's thoughtful, he's soulful, he's reflective, he's introspective. And I happen to love the fact that his good character, his survival, was shaped by women. It was his mama who got him through this childhood, and her strength. His sister, with whom he has such a loving and dear relationship to this day, loved Lindsay. And then I love the fact that it's Amy Chua at Yale Law School, who's like one of the only non-woke, amazing, like normal professors at Yale Law School who would help him take the next step. That she saw in him, this is not just the next generation of lawyer. This is a special guy whose voice needs to be heard well beyond the Yale Law School campus and the campuses of white shoe law firms in America. She helped steer him. And she helped Usha too, who had, 2 federal clerkships, including, as I said, for the Supreme Court. So to me, that speaks so well of him, like that. The Republican Party, as you know, still gets demonized by the Democrats as like a bunch of just moronic, burly men, toxic men who want to take away the rights to abortion. And like, yes, JD is pro-life, but that is a man who respects women and whose very character was shaped by strong women.
Without a doubt. And I mean, it's important to understand that the men in JD's life failed him. And who filled the void? As you went through the list beautifully. And so look, and JD has a huge heart. He radiates sincerity. And you know that because I'm around, look, honestly, Megyn, I'm gonna have to go through some sort of detox. I'm here at the RNC right now. And there are so many political creatures crawling around here. It's so disgusting. You know, people, it's always about no, I mean, honestly, it's like always about an angle and I want something from you. And they just ooze that sort of stench of, I'm trying to game the system. With JD, it's completely different. And it's not just me. I'm going to tell you a true story. So this is in the middle of the Veep Stakes. We have our People's Convention in Detroit, Michigan. And we have nearly 10,000 people there. And I was like, hey, JD, we're doing a straw poll for the vice presidency. If you want to try to make it, I think you'll do very well because the audience likes you. He's like, yeah, it's my 10-year wedding anniversary. He's like, that's a top priority for me. He said, but let me see what I can do. So he prioritizes the wedding anniversary. And he texts like the day before. He's like, okay, I think I can make it on Sunday. I said, great. So my team calls me and they said, hey, JD's coming, but he's driving himself from Columbus. It's like, what do you mean he's driving himself? This is a U.S. Senator, Megyn, who might be the next vice president of the United States or the selection for VP, who literally got in a car early on a Sunday morning, drove 3.5 hours to Detroit by himself, staffed himself, was so warm to all of our staff, probably on almost no sleep, took every picture, signed every book that was asked of him, gave an amazing speech, got back in the car so he could be back at dinner in Columbus, Ohio. I mean, like that's so unheard of.
Yes.
I mean, there are people that come and speak at our events that are running for dog catcher, and they come with an entourage and a posse that makes, most rappers look as if they're understaffed. JD Vance is, driving himself, and it's just like, he's like, yeah, it's just like, I'm a regular guy. He doesn't think of himself as if he's, better than you or that he's part of some sort of, high society class. And I think that he adds a dynamic and an element to the Trump ticket that will grow as time goes on. People are going to deepen their understanding of what the MAGA agenda really is. And also there is a youthful dynamic, which I am so pleased. The data is screaming at us right now. Please put somebody on the ticket under the age of 50. Please put somebody on the ticket under the age of 50. And now you have Biden 81, Trump 78, Kamala Harris either 58 or 59, late 50s, and now JD Vance 39. I mean, that is a serious contrast, who can really be a communicator to 35-year-old voters who are struggling to buy a home and struggling to build a family. And so I think this was the best pick that Donald Trump could make. And more than anything else, he has a decent and a good person. And that is so hard to find in American politics.
Do you owe back taxes? Pandemic relief is now over. Along with hiring thousands of new agents and field officers, the IRS has kicked off 2024 by sending over 5 million pay-up letters to those who have unfiled tax returns or balances owed. Don't waive your rights and speak with them on your own. That's scary. It usually doesn't end well. Tax Network USA, a trusted tax relief firm, has saved over $1 billion in back taxes for their clients, and they can help you secure the best deal possible. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, they can help you. Whether it's business or personal taxes, even if you have the means to pay, or if you don't, if you're on a fixed income, they can help finally resolve your tax burdens once and for all. Call 1-800-245-6000 for a private, free consultation, or visit tnusa.com/Megyn. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.